Hello and welcome to another podcast. Well, in today's podcast, what we are going to discuss about is going to be different. If you're looking forward to have a discussion or experience a discussion on startups, business, or anything which is related to career, I will request you to go ahead and check my other podcast because today's podcast will be on a different subject. Today's subject will be Kundalini Yoga. Yes, it is a spiritual topic on which I'm making this podcast, and it is the first of its kind that I am going ahead and making a podcast on. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started. So let us know what exactly we mean by Kundalini. In Hinduism, Kundalini is another word for coiled snake. That means Kundalini is a Sanskrit term, and the meaning of this term or this word is coiled snake. Now we have to understand that according to Hinduism, Kundalini is believed to be a form of divine energy or Shakti that is located at the base of the spine, which is also termed as Muladhara. Now it is important for you to understand how exactly Kundalini Yoga helps you to go ahead and experience Kundalini awakenings, which can lead to ultimate realization or enlightenment. Kundalini Yoga awakening are said to occur by a variety of methods. Many systems of yoga focus on awakening of Kundalini. It can include meditation, pranayama, practice of asanas, chanting mantras. Whatever is the process that you're using to awaken your Kundalini, the entire goal of Kundalini awakening is to go ahead and experience enlightenment. Enlightenment to understand the secret behind your own existence or the secret of this entire universe. If I go according to William F. Williams, Kundalini is a type of religious experience within the Hindu tradition, which is held to be a kind of cosmic energy that accumulates at the base of the spine. And when awakened, Kundalini is described as rising up from the Muladhara chakra through the central nari called Sushumna inside or alongside the spine, reaching the top of the head. The progress of Kundalini through different chakras is believed to achieve different levels of awakening and a mystical experience until Kundalini finally reaches the top of the head, which is known as Sahasra or crown chakra, producing an extremely profound transformation of consciousness. Interesting? I know it is. Now, if we go according to Swami Sivananda Saraswati of the Divine Life Society, he stated in his book Kundalini Yoga that supersensual visions appear before the mental eye of the aspirant, new worlds with indescribable wonders and charms unfold themselves before the yogi. Planes after planes reveal their existence and grandeur to the practitioner, and yogi gets divine knowledge, power, and bliss in increasing degrees when Kundalini passes through chakra after chakra, making them to bloom in all their glory. Now, this particular technique of Kundalini awakening is also compared with cool breeze that is felt on the fingertips, as well as the fontanelle bone area. Now, what are the experiences one can go through when he or she is going through Kundalini awakening? Let us focus on that. There are two broad approaches to Kundalini awakening. One, active. Two, passive. The active approach involves systematic physical exercises and techniques of concentration, visualization, pranayama, which is a form of breathing practice, and meditation under the guidance of a competent teacher or a guru. These techniques come from any of the four main branches of yoga. Some forms of yoga, such as Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, and Sahaja Yoga, which emphasize on Kundalini techniques. Now, if we focus on the passive approach, it is a path of surrender where one lets go of all the impediments to the awakening rather than trying to actively awaken Kundalini. A chief part of the passive approach is Shaktipat, where one individual's Kundalini is awakened by another one who already has the experience. Shaktipat only raises Kundalini temporarily, but gives the student an experience of a lifetime. He or who subsequently came to believe, as an ancient writers have said, it is the vital force of prana or life, which is spread over both the macrocosm, which means the entire universe, and the microcosm, the human body. The atom is contained in both of these, as I personally believe that we human beings are only accumulation of atoms, and we all vibrate in different frequency. Anyway, getting back to today's topic, prana is life energy, which is responsible for the phenomena of terrestrial life and for life on other planets in the universe. Prana, or life, in its universal aspect is immaterial, but in the human body, prana creates a fine biochemical substance which works in the whole organism and in the main agent of activity in the nervous system and in the brain. The brain is alive only because of prana or life. The most important psychological changes in the character of an enlightened person would be that he or she would be compassionate and more detached. There would be less ego without any tendency toward violence or aggression or falsehood. The awakened life energy is the mother of morality, because all morality springs from this awakened energy. Since the very beginning, it has been this evolutionary energy that has created the concept of morals in human beings. So you can say an enlightened person or an enlightened individual is the one who is detached from everything and understands that the reality of happiness is in being just who we are or who he or she is. Now, the experience of Kundalini awakening can happen when one is either prepared, or at times it happens to an individual who is not prepared. Now, according to Hindu tradition, In order to be able to integrate the spiritual energy, a period of careful purification and strengthening of the body and nervous system is usually required. Now, if we look at our body and spirit, we need to understand that Kundalini awakening is connected to Kundalini Yoga and other yoga and asana practices. So it is believed that our body and spirit must be prepared for the yogic austerities, such as pranayama or breath control, physical exercises, visualization, and chanting. A student of Kundalini Yoga who practices Kundalini Yoga for Kundalini awakening is advised to follow the path in an open-hearted manner. Traditionally, people visit ashrams in India to awaken their dormant Kundalini energy with regular meditation, mantra chanting, spiritual studies, and various physical practices such as Kundalini Yoga. This is a general practice which most of the individuals who are interested in spiritualism and who are looking forward to awaken their Kundalinis follow out here in India. To be very honest, if you ask me, the day I got to know about Kundalini awakening, I did start doing my research, and I got to know that Kundalini is considered to occur in the chakras and nadis of the subtle body. Now, we all know there are 7 chakras in our body, and excluding the Sahasra chakra, there are 6 main chakras. Now, each chakra is said to contain special characteristics, and with proper training and moving of Kundalini energy through these chakras, it can help express or open these characteristics. Kundalini is described as a sleeping, dormant potential force in the human organism. It is one of the components of esoteric description of subtle body, which consists of nadis. Now, when I'm talking about nadis, I mean energy channels. Chakras, by that I mean psychic centers. Prana, the life energy or the subtle energy. And Bindu. Bindu means like the drop of essence of life. Kundalini is described as being coiled up at the base of the spine or Muladhara. The description of the location can vary slightly from the rectum and the navel area. Now, Kundalini is said to reside in the triangular sacrum bone in 3.5 coils. Now, if I go according to what Swami Vivekananda described Kundalini briefly in his book Raja Yoga, quote, according to the yogis, there are 2 nerve currents in the spinal column called Pingala and Ira, and a hollow canal called Sushumna running through the spinal cord. At the lower end of the hollow canal is what the yogis call the Lotus of Kundalini. They describe it as triangular in a form in which, in the symbolic language of the yogis, there is power called the Kundalini. When that Kundalini awakens, it tries to force a passage through this hollow canal, and as it rises step by step, as it were, layer after layer of the mind becomes open, and all different visions and wonderful powers come to the yogi. When it reaches the brain, the yogi is perfectly detached from the body and mind. The soul finds itself free. We know that the spinal cord is composed in a peculiar manner. If we take the figure 8 horizontally, yes, horizontally, there are two parts which are connected in the middle. Suppose you add 8 after 8, piled one on top of the other. That will represent the spinal cord. The left is the era and the right is called Pingala. And the hollow canal which runs through the center of the spine or the spinal cord is called Sushumna. Where the spinal cord ends, in some of the lumbar vertebrae, a fine fiber issues downward and the canal runs up even within the fiber, only much finer. The canal is closed at the lower end, which is situated near what is called the sacral plexus, which according to modern physiology is triangular in form, and different plexes that have their centers in the spinal canal can very well stand for the different lotuses of the yogi. And here I unquote this particular para written by Swami Vivekananda. When Kundalini Shakti is conceived as a goddess, then what happens? Well, to answer your question, when Kundalini Shakti is conceived as a goddess, then when it rises to the head, it unites itself with the Supreme Being. Here, by Supreme Being, we mean Lord Shiva. The aspirant then becomes engrossed in the deep meditation and infinite bliss. Now, if I go according to the book written by Paramhansa Yogananda, in his book, God Talks with Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, out there he mentioned that at the command of the yogi in deep meditation, the creative force turns inward and hows back to its source in the 1,000-petaled lotus, revealing the resplendent inner world to the divine forces and consciousness of the soul and spirit. Now, yoga refers to this power of flowing from the coccyx of spirit as the awakened Kundalini. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda also states the yogi reverses the searchlights of intelligence, mind, and light force inward through a secret astral passage, the coiled way of the Kundalini. You remember I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, the coiled way of the Kundalini in the coccygeal plexus and upward through the sacral, the lumbar, and the higher dorsal and cervical and medullary plexus, and the spiritual eye at the point between the eyes to reveal finally the soul's presence in the highest center, Sahasra, in the brain. So it beautifully explains how exactly you experience Kundalini awakening. If you ask me, in this new age or in this new modern era, why exactly we all need to follow the path of Kundalini awakening or practice meditation, I would say that we all are living in the era where we have thousands of things around us to distract us, to make us lose the peace of our mind. And when things are not working out for us, when things are disturbing us, the best way to find peace is not going ahead and taking an expensive vacation, but to sit down and explore the inner world, the inner peace that you will be receiving through this entire experience will be the reward, which is absolutely priceless. With that, I, Rashish Chatterjee, I will end my podcast for today. I hope you did like this podcast. I know it is not a regular topic on which I'm making the podcast on, but it will be interesting to see how exactly you guys respond to this podcast. If you guys like this podcast, if you guys feel that I should be coming up with more podcasts on spiritualism, Kundalini Yoga, Kriya Yoga, please do mention. I would do my best to go ahead and make more videos on this topic, because on today's date, where madness is all over the world, where we are surrounded by COVID-19 or coronavirus, where we are surrounded by hypocrites, people who are ready to go ahead and backstab us, it is important for us to go ahead and find a way to understand how we can find ourselves inside us. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for going through this podcast. This is me signing off right now. Please do not forget to subscribe my channel, like and share this video. God bless you. Take care.